chapter we are going to start the introduction to router and the deep dive into routing itself. So let's get started. So what is router? What is the use of your routers? Let's try to understand. Okay. So the very first things I would like to highlight here, the couple of scenarios which I'd like to highlight. Consider we are having the number of computers. So this number of computers and this computers or let's say we are connecting through a central device which is known as your switch. This is nothing but your switch and all the devices are connected here, or you consider this is your one LAN, let's say LAN 1, which is here. Similarly, you have, let's say, the set of computer at different locations, and again you have a switch here and all are connected to this, and this is considered as LAN 2. Fine. Consider this is at your one LAN segment and this is your another LAN segment. Now what I want to have the communications from here to this. So how exactly you will have the communication from one LAN to another LAN here? That is what we are going to discuss now. So the very first thing is, to communicate between two different LAN itself, we are going to use the routers mostly, because LAN 1, consider LAN 1 having the IP address range in terms of this as 1.0/24, and here I am having 1.0 2.0/24, correct? No, if there are two different network and two LAN segments, generally we are going to use the router itself to connect together. It's all about just keep the router here. Router symbol is just like this, you can say, or router symbol is just like this. Fine. So I'm just keeping the router here, and this router is one of the device which is going to connect with the switch router's port, and similarly here also it's going to be connected like this. And now from here to here you can have the communications via router itself. Fine. So router is basically one of the layer 3 device which allows you to connect two different LANs, or you can say which allows you to route the packet between two different network itself. Fine. Apart from this, we will do the deep dive discussion later on in this videos itself. So let's move ahead. So say this. So as we discussed, router is one of the internetworking device, of course, yes, and it enables the communications between two different or more logical networks. Fine. Try to understand, this is one of the layer 3 device. It's nothing but network layer device in OSI layer, and from where this route word has come, it's all about the path. It's all about the path, and that's the main reason we call it as the router. Router is one of the best device which can find out the best path. It can find out the ways to reach the different destinations based on the requirements. So this route word is nothing but from the path itself. So try to remember, this router is nothing but one of the device which can find out the best path and reach the destinations. Also, the IP of the router is the default gateway for your all of your LAN segment. It's nothing but, this is, let's say, your router connected to your switch, and now you have the number of PCs here. Fine. So routers has this interface, your LAN interface, and this LAN interface IP address will become the default gateway for your PCs. Now what is default gateway? Basically, default gateway is the entry or exit point of your network. It is basically the entry or exit point of your network. So router's LAN interface IP address will become the default gateway for your all of your LAN devices here. Now there are two different type of routers we have majorly, software router and hardware routers. So just to be clear here on this software and hardware, very simple. Software is all about, let's say we have the Microsoft Windows Server or Linux machines, where we can configure the servers itself to act like a router. Basic features of the routers you can get, but when it comes to the advanced features or the actual function of your routers, that can be performed by your hardware routers only. Fine. So let's see. So hardware routers like like Cisco, Juniper, HP, D-Link. There are many more companies who is in the market for this hardware router. Software router is about your Microsoft Windows server or your Linux server, where you can enable the routing features, just basic routing features. Okay. Now, just to highlight couple of more point in terms of the functions of your routers. As we know, the very first thing, like, it can go ahead and find out the best path, and it can forward the data through that best path. Correct? No? This is two things what we know that as of now. But there are many more which you need to remember. See, routers has this functionality. First, it allows the inter-network communication. That's nothing but two different logical network communications, and routers perform the best path selection. Yes, of course, router performs the packet switching and router performs the packet forwarding. This is the major functions of your routers. Okay, so routers can go ahead and perform these two things based on the routing protocols which you have configured on the routers. Okay, but make sure how routers works, like this only the routers are going to work. Now, type of router is all about the fixed router or modular router that you have. So routers you will find in two categories majorly, fixed and modular. So what happens in fixed? See, fixed routers are not upgradable. They are not upgradable, or you cannot add, you cannot remove any kind of interfaces in this, because you do not have any additional slot in this. Each and everything in this routers is integrated on the motherboard directly. Fixed routers are non-upgradable, and you cannot add or remove any kind of interfaces from here if you need it, because you do not have any additional slots in this. Each and everything will be integrated on the motherboards. So generally we do not use this fixed routers also. We basically go for the modular routers which we have in the pictures. As you can see, modular routers are upgradable, and you can go ahead and add or remove the interfaces based on the requirement. Always remember, the modular routers has the number of slots available depends upon the router series, so that you will be able to add the LAN or WAN interfaces into the same. So make sure modular routers are upgradable, and in the market you will find the modular routers only. Fixed routers are outdated nowadays. Okay, just to highlight how your modular and fixed routers looks like is this. See, fixed router is like where you can see on the motherboard itself, each and every ports, these ports are hardly integrated. But when it comes to modular, you have the different slots here, and that slots you can remove and you can add the number of ports based on your requirement. Modular, swappable modules. Fine. So in the market you will find this modular routers only. Now let us try and understand the routers category. Now see, there are three different type of routers provided by Cisco that you will find. As you can see the categories, I mean a small router or very big router, or maybe two big routers. How they are categorized? That is based on categories of your Cisco routers, like branch layer router, aggregation or network edge routers, and service provider routers. This is very small router, this is medium size, and this is very large size routers you will be getting. In simple term, three hierarchy. This is also called as Cisco 3-tier hierarchical design for the routers: branch, aggregation, and service provider. So just to highlight one point, right now I will give you the introduction to this branch, aggregation, and service provider router series. There are many more series which you can find onto the official portal of Cisco, but I am going to highlight very few examples from them. I am taken it and added this to my slide deck. Fine. Say this. Branch layer routers. So branch layer routers are basically used in small organizations, that was called as branch layer. It's like for branch offices you can go ahead and use the routers, which is your branch layer routers, and the series are this. See, 800 series, 1900, 2600, 2800, 2900 series routers. So 800 you will not find. This is also not there. This is also not there. You may find this 2 series routers in your company. or maybe some companies, those who are operating with very old, they might have this 2600 series routers as well, but 800 and 1900 series routers are totally, outdated. You will not find this. So as of now, these are some of the series which comes under the branch layer routers. There are many more routers you will get, guys. I'm just trying to highlight few examples here to understand. So this is for branch offices. Next, you have network and edge, or you can say aggregation layer routers. This is basically used by the large organization, or you can say the head offices or campus in simple terms. Branch routers for branch layers, and you have the aggregations which is for head offices you can go for. And this is how it looks like you can see the number of slots which is available here. You can go ahead and insert the number of interfaces based on your requirement. These are the series 1000, 5000 and 5500 series routers. These two is outdated, you will not find. You may find this 55 series, 5500 series routers in the pictures. This is your medium size routers which can be used at the head offices. And the very big routers are this is your service provider routers, which is used by the ISP itself. And these routers are really, wonderful routers, where you will get the number of slots, number of CPU fans, number of interfaces which can be inserted here. And generally these routers are used by the service provider itself to transfer the huge information from service provider to another service providers. Now when it comes to this series of your routers here, so yes, these are the series of your routers. You have 6000 and 9000. So 9K series routers nowadays you will be getting in the market. 6K is for sure outdated, you won't be getting this. So just to highlight the categories of your routers, guys, as we have seen, is about the branch layer router, then network and edge layer routers, and service provider routers, which is very high end routers that you have here. So that's it for this lecture. We will see you in the next lecture with a new topic.